Hello and welcome to the audio commentary of the lesson for past simple. Let's start with the use and function of this tense. The past simple is used to talk about an action at a certain point in the past and it just reports the action as a whole. Well, what we mean is by use of simple past, we cannot focus on continuation or order or whatever other function of the action. And the only thing we report is the action as a whole. So it is usually used to talk about completed or repeated actions and general truths in the past, and also the main events in a story. Let's have a look at some examples. I watched the new James Bond movie last night. Well, as a completed action. I visited my grandma 3 times this month as a repeated action, 3 times. In the past, people didn't live in apartments as they do now. Well, as a general truth about the past, and Tom opened the door and saw the body, as reporting the main events in a story. In an affirmative past simple sentence, the verb structure is only the past form of the verb with no auxiliary. He or I went to school yesterday. Well, as you see, in an affirmative sentence, there is no auxiliary like was, were, or whatever. We just have the main verb in past form. In a negative and interrogative simple past sentence, the verb structure is the basic form of the verb, or as we say, the infinitive, with a did in a question form and didn't in the negative form as the auxiliary verb. Let's have a look at the examples. They, she, we, I didn't go to school yesterday. Well, as you see, the main verb is in the basic form. Actually, it's not in past form anymore. And there is the didn't as the auxiliary. And in the question form, did she or you go to school yesterday? Again, the verb, the past form verb went, has changed to present form, to the infinitive form, and did as the auxiliary verb is functioning. Well, about the question forms, there are 2 question forms like the other tenses. Yes, no questions. Did she or you go to school yesterday? And WH questions. Where did you go yesterday? Well, like all other tenses, when we are making yes, no questions, well, the auxiliary, comes in the beginning of the sentence before the subject. And when we want to create a WH question, the WH question goes before the auxiliary and the answer is deleted normally. However, there is one exception. When the question is about the subject, in this case, there is no auxiliary and the question word, which is usually who, replaces the subject. So, if we are asking about the subject, there is no auxiliary and the question would be just who went to the school yesterday. So, if you found a question with past form with no auxiliary, it is surely about the subject. Well, I hope you liked the lesson. Thank you and goodbye.